Another important financial issue within business is depreciation. If you do not know what depreciation is, simply have a look in a textbook or, for example, in Wikipedia. When it comes to depreciation, there are several methods. It's always about you have a value, you have invested in a house, in a printer, in a car, in a machine, and the value of the machine as it gets older goes down and down. And these things are related then to tax issues and others. So in our case, we're talking about a printer, and there is different methods to calculate this depreciation. We talk about an acquisition value for the printer of 45,000 euro. We talk about a final value or residual value at the end of the lifespan we're going to use it, or called salvage, of 5,000 euro. And we have a lifespan of 4 years. So basically the value of the printer while we are using it is going down by 40,000 euro. At the beginning it has a value of 45,000 euro. At the end we are going to sell it for 5,000 euro. Which means for 4 years, each year the value, if you do it linearly, it goes down by 10,000 euro. So let's have a look. Let's calculate our depreciation. You can do it straight line. Then we have this function SLN. Yeah, and we see the beginning. We have the cost of 45,000 euro. We put a dollar in front of it. We have a salvage or a residual value of 10,000 at the very end. Again, we do our dollar in here. And we do have a lifespan of 4 years. Yeah, so again, we say we have these 4 years, and then we get this 10,000 euro of depreciation value. And now we can say at the beginning of the first year, the value has been our acquisition value. And if the depreciation is taken into account, at the end of the year, you have a residual value or salvage of this minus that. And always the residual value at the end of the year is a book value at the beginning of the next year. So this one goes in here. Yeah, and we can now move all these things down. Oops, and move this one down. So what you can see is the book value goes down year by year, and finally we end up with this 5,000 euro. That's what we have started with. You can calculate the depreciation in a different way. So if you argue the value goes down at the very beginning a little bit steeper, because, for example, if you have a car, then the loss of value is in the first year definitely higher than in the next year. Then you can use simply another function. This method is then called sum of year depreciation, or in Excel SYD. So again, we have our cost, which is 45,000 at the very beginning. I mark it with a D. We have our salvage, which is the end value. Again, we enter the dollars. We do have a lifespan. Again, the dollars. So up to here, everything is the same. However, if we say years are different, we have now to say which year we have. So in here, I'll take the parameter for the first year, and you can see our depreciation value is higher compared to what we have had in the other calculation. If you go down, you can see this depreciation goes down as well, and the total value, if you have a look or sum this up, you can see it's 40,000. Now we're doing basically the same as before. We say this is our residual value. It's the difference between those two. And the starting value in the next year is always the value we have had in the last year. And if we move down in here, again, you can see we end up with a 5,000. However, the book values and the depreciation values have changed in a different way. A last approach to calculate the depreciation is called the production method depreciation. So if we already can forecast in what extent the printer, for example, in our case, is used, then you can say, okay, we calculate this depreciation according to the numbers we are foreseeing. For example, we know we will use this printer for 4 years and we forecast 5,000 pages in the first year, 30,000 pages in the second year, and so on and so on. Then we have always a ratio of these 50,000 to the total, and this one is then taken into account as a depreciation value. This is not supported by Excel. However, you can do it by hand. So we do this calculation of 45,000. Yeah. Again, we have to do these dollars because we would like to move it down later on, minus our 5,000. And then we multiply it by the ratio of this year's production divided by the overall production. So let's say the sum of these values. And then we get a depreciation of 9,090 euro. And here we do the same basically as before. So this is 55,000. Yeah, and the residual value will be the difference of those two values. And if we now move this one down, you see these values are changing according to the level of production. Here we have to state still the same as the residual value as we have had before. And here we have to move down as well. And you see we end up with 5,000. If you sum those values up, you end up with 40,000. But now we have done the calculation by our own, as there is no function in Excel for this kind of depreciation.